What's up, friends? I'm Jonathan Miller, and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. Why is Taylor Swift's red era the color red? Wow, that might be the dumbest question I've ever asked in 17 years of being a YouTuber, but you know what I mean. Taylor Swift's red era is not only iconic for its viral hits like the scarf-centric All Too Well and goat meme I Knew You Were Trouble, but it's also iconic for its encapsulating imagery. Red and Red Taylor's version have both had their opportunities to shine in two different decades, but regardless of time period, the central color motif remains, appropriately, red. But why does Taylor Swift's color association work so well on an album literally titled after the aforementioned color? Well, that's what we're gonna find out. If you're new to the series, today we're taking a look at the red era in Taylor Swift's impeccable discography to see how color theory and symbolism add a lot more significance to this particular album, arguably much more poignantly than some of her other records. So hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss my future uploads, including episodes of this series. Leave a like if you enjoy it, and drop me a comment with your favorite songs from Red, or tell me if you learned something new today. With that out of the way, let's jump in. Red is a particularly interesting album in terms of color theory and symbolism because, as I mentioned before, it's literally named after the color. Also, we have a title track revolving around that color too. But this is Taylor Swift and nothing is ever surface level. Color symbolism plays a much bigger role in music than you might expect, but it can drastically alter how you perceive a certain song or an album. Taylor Swift sings about a metaphorical scarf in All Too Well, but nowhere in the song does she actually say the scarf is red. Our brains, because of color psychology and association, paint the image of the scarf being red for us because of the way in which it's being presented to us. We see an album called Red, so naturally we assume the missing scarf is the color red, when actually, up until the merchandise drop and short film, the scarf's true color is never revealed. Imagine if she had dropped a scarf in her merch run that was like blue or purple or white, while actively promoting an album that centers around the color red. When saying it out loud, that already seems silly and weird, right? That's why in music marketing and even in songwriting or book writing, whatever it is, what we associate colors with matters. The color red symbolizes quite a few things. Typically, red symbolizes strength, passion, love, confidence, but it can also symbolize warfare, blood, violence, anger, alertness, danger, and more. Of course, cultural differences will play a role in how colors are perceived, but there are some generalities we can make that will usually translate. For example, in China, red can be associated with things like prosperity and happiness, but in cultures of South Africa, red can actually be associated with mourning and sadness. The color red and its various hues are referred to as warm colors in color theory. In nature, we see red in things like fire, fall leaves, sunsets, sunrises, and the like. It's a primary color that our eyes naturally are drawn to. With the exception of red-green color blindness, which is a little bit more complicated, it's the easiest for our eyes to naturally spot amongst others. Like, think of brands you might easily recognize. Target, Coca-Cola, Netflix, etc. These brand logos tend to stand out, in part because we can spot them without really even thinking, due to the way our eyes are attracted to the color red. Stop signs and red lights are the colors that they are, for example, because we tend to associate the color red with warnings, and that color is still easy to spot in a variety of different weather conditions. In popular music, the color red is most often associated with, you guessed it, love. Now, this association doesn't necessarily always mean happiness and the honeymoon phase. Red and its various shades can be angry or sad in regards to love as well. In Prince's song Little Red Corvette, red is used in regards to a warning. The protagonist is singing about a person who goes too fast in a relationship and how they should have known it wasn't going to work out because of all the warning signs. In the complete opposite of that, in K-pop song Red Flavor by Red Velvet, the protagonist compares the color red to the excitement of falling in love with someone in the summer. It's less of a warning and more of an invitation to give in to curiosities without the negative connotations. However, Taylor Swift plays with the entire spectrum of symbolism for the color red throughout the album. But first, a shout out to this video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the best music distribution platforms on the market, helping artists like you and me get our music up on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, and more. For one small yearly price, you can distribute as much music as you can create without breaking the bank. Depending on which plan you decide is the best fit for you, you'll also gain access to DistroKid's gigantic library of additional features designed to help you grow, manage, and promote your music and take your career to new heights. One such fantastic feature is called Hyperfollow. Hyperfollow is an awesome tool that combines all the places your music is available and puts them in one easy-to-share hyperlink. This makes it really handy for your fans to quickly find your music in their location, no matter where they are in the world. You can add all sorts of customizations like your social links, your YouTube videos, and more. You can also collect email addresses to grow your email list and get your fans to pre-save your song on Spotify. It's a handy tool that will help you out a ton on your next promo run. So use my special VIP link to save yourself 7% on your first year's membership with DistroKid. Link is in the description. Taylor once said that the album opener State of Grace is kind of like a warning to the up and down sonics of the Red album and the up and down emotions as well, because this is an album that really feels like your early 20s. It's emotional. It's deep. It's about stretching your wings outside your nest of familiarity, and sometimes that means flying high in success, and sometimes that means falling back to the ground with loss. It's about beginning to forge your own life as you reach the legal age of adulthood, in most countries somewhere between the ages of 18 and 22. The legal age of adulthood here in the US is 18, but you still can't purchase alcohol until 21. So technically speaking, most people say you become a full-fledged adult at 21. And typically in American culture, your 21st birthday is a big celebration. That's not entirely relevant to the video, except it might help provide a little bit more context to songs like All Too Well 10-Minute Version and The Moment I Knew. In State of Grace, Taylor establishes a small motif that develops over the course of Red, and that is comparing love to a sequence of 3 adjectives or verbs. She starts out by saying love hurts, bleeds, or fades in time. Then she says love is painful, brave, and wild, and finishes with saying love is good, right, and real. In All Too Well, she writes that love had become dead and gone and buried, which she then counters in 22 by saying happy, free, confused, and lonely, which is 4. She jumps back down the ladder with the song Sad, Beautiful, Tragic. Then we reach the resolve of the record Begin Again, where she says that she thought love breaks, burns, and ends, until she realizes that love is all those things, but it can also be something new that she doesn't know yet too. Of course, we can fast forward to 2019's Daylight that evolves on this thought process when she's a bit older by realizing that love isn't just black and white and burning red, it's also golden. But that's for another video or two in this series. The point is, all of these metaphors are important because they are all emotions present within the story of the Red album. Taylor utilizes a wide range of symbolism that the color red is associated with and expands upon it through her storytelling and her visuals. The fact that this album's title track, Red, is song number 2 on the track list is not because she just haphazardly slapped the album together with Elmer's glue in a dream. It's track number 2 for a reason, because it helps to explain the album's dimensions, expanding upon the warning found in State of Grace. Red, the song, is a gigantic list of metaphors and red symbolism. She even directly draws intention to the emotional symbols like passionate as sin, like the colors in Autumn So Bright, love could be that strong, burning red. The first 2 songs on the Red album want the listener to get a very clear image as to why the album feels all over the place. It's because it's supposed to. The few times she mentions colors on the rest of the album, it's almost always to specifically highlight a stark contrast to the passionate emotions driving the majority of the album. And she mostly chooses cooler tones in order to do it. Blue, for example, is loss. Dark gray is associated with loneliness. Glistening snow white is isolation. So on and so forth. You get the idea. Taylor also plays off of this contrast in her visuals for this album as well. In the original photo run of her promotional material, the title of the album is bold, strong, and in an easy to read font. To contrast that, she uses a cool toned filter and a white color for her name. In the material that isn't her album cover and doesn't have text, this cool toned filter remains. The same is true for the original music videos of the era, except 22, which is supposed to be brighter and colorful to reflect the song's vibe and concept. Flash forward to Red Taylor's version, and even though the vibe has shifted to reflect more of the autumnal season, the palette remains much the same. Taylor's red hair in the All Too Well short film, and other touches of the color throughout it. The album cover was beige to contrast the red of her lips, hat, and car. All of this communicates the same message of strong emotions, even if we don't consciously think that when we first see it. So why is the Red era's color red? As funny as that sounds, it really does go deeper than the obvious color and title relationship. Red symbolizes a wide range of passionate emotions, both positive and negative, and Taylor uses that symbolism to show the listener that this album will be unlike the more uniform sound they might be familiar with before they even listen to a single song. Then, once they do, she further establishes this warning in the first few songs, both lyrically and sonically, which helps pull the listener further into these moments in her life. Emotions are universal, and those universal experiences of falling in love, gaining newfound independence, breaking up, pretending you're somewhere else, trying to ignore the hammer of adulthood hitting down the nail of reality as you continue to grow up and find yourself, all float across this album to make a body of work that is equal parts chaotic and immersive. Taylor couldn't have chosen a better title for this album because out of all the colors in autumn so bright, this album really is red.